the Haunted Hangover podcast. I'm Louie, and I'm joined by my dude, Grimy.
What up, what up? How's everybody doing? People out there in the world.
Hopefully they're doing better than the Frankenstein monster is in this film. Not doing too well.
No, he's a little beat up, a little mangled. Yeah, he's seen better days.
Little emotionally distraught as well.
Yes.
A little heartbroken there. My dude just wanted a friend. He wanted a friend, and he wanted snacks.
Snacks and wine, drink,
Spliffs.
all that good stuff. Well, he was spliffing, that's for sure.
He was definitely spliffing.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, basically the teaser to the film we're going to dive into, a big one, a massive one of the biggest. I think the only exception is probably the original.
I think
right?
that's fair. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, I think that's fair. I don't want to say it up front, so I'll keep my my opinions to myself for now.
And that film is 1935's Bride of Frankenstein.
She's alive! Alive!
Yeah, dude, you weren't kidding. This is a huge one. I think when a lot of people think of the Universal monsters, they gravitate to, like, I feel like everyone's seen this one. If you've watched any of them, it's always like either Frankenstein or The Bride of Frankenstein. Like, Frank gets the most push. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I would say it's weird because The Bride of Frankenstein, the character of the bride, is it's like a pop culture icon. Like the two characters, the main monster, the bride, go hand in hand. You know, how many Valentine's Day themed horror cards do you see every year with both of them? They're kind of like the Harley Quinn and Joker of the
I was
horror,
totally going to say that.
which we might have said on a previous episode. I don't know. We might have said something like that previously. But it's funny, too, because much like the Harley Quinn and Joker relationship, this one's pretty toxic as well.
Oh, yeah. I love seeing those posts about people during Valentine's Day. I'm just looking for my Joker. Like, why? That's not good.
I'm just looking for my bride. And then little do they know, because they've never actually watched the movie, that the bride is terrified of Frank.
Yeah.
Frank the monster. She wants nothing to do with him, which is, I think, something people forget. Because, a lot of people, I feel, know the characters more than they know the movie.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
I think we've said that too previously, where it's like everyone knows the Frankenstein's monster, everyone knows the bride, but maybe not everyone knows Dr. Pretorius, who we're going to talk about him in a bit, because he is, dare I say, yeah, the bride's awesome, but Dr. Pretorius, the MVP of this film, in my opinion. So, this was released April 22nd. 1935. Well, that's it. We're getting to the middle of the 30s, Grimy.
Wow. Yeah, chiseling away at this stack, I'm telling you.
Yes, we're moving slowly, inching our way out of the 30s. Something we've been joking about now for like 9 movies. Slowly, snail's pace out of the 30s. Once again, directed by James Whale. The original Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, which we already covered. Go back and check out that episode. And a movie I mentioned that I would love eventually for us, and I think I even said this on the show, I would like for us to eventually cover The Old Dark House, which kind of plays into this film a little bit with some of the actors in it. Boris Karloff is back as the monster. Colin Clive is back as Henry Frankenstein. So everyone is back for the most part. New to the Frankenstein universe, Universal Monster universe, we've got Ernest, and Grimy, you're going to have to help me out here if you know how to pronounce this guy's last name. Ernest Thesiger?
You've got me. I mean, I don't have it right in front of me. I remember seeing it, but I'm not even going to try. That's just too much.
Ernest Thesiger, I think. There you go. Maybe that's it. Ernest
Thesiger, maybe?
Thesiger. as
Is that what you're thinking?
Dr. Pretorius, who I just talked about. I believe is Thesinger. Ernest Thesinger.
We'll go with that.
I think I'm right. If not, listeners, correct me. But yes, Dr. Pretorius. We've got Elsa Lancaster as the bride, a.k.a. the monster's mate. She is listed in the opening credits with a question mark, which we discussed previously. They did that in the original Frankenstein with the creature, with the monster, with Boris Karloff. They didn't outright say he was the one playing the character in the beginning. Little mystery there. And she also plays dual role Mary Shelley. So they kind of, they spread her out a little bit. They gave her two roles in this movie. Specifically, one doesn't even speak. She just screams and makes noises, and she got to show some of her acting chops with the Mary Shelley fictional version of the writer of the original novel.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've also got so here's where things change up a little bit. So we've got some new members of the cast. We've got Valerie Hobson, who's taken over. She took over the role of Elizabeth Frankenstein, and that was originally played by Mae Clark. So some recasting we've got. I think she was sick, if I remember correctly. She was some sort of. I think some sort of sickness is the reason why she didn't take part in the film. She was not feeling well. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but she could not return. Then we've got. This is an interesting name. I think it's O.P. Heggie as the Hermit. Who is an infamous character in the film. Then we've got Uni O'Connor, who was one of my least favorite parts of The Invisible Man. She's playing the character of Minnie. Do you know who I'm talking about, Grimy?
I vaguely remember.
She was the annoying woman that owned the pub, the Lion's Den
the
pub.
one that's like bitching at the husband to make him get the Invisible Man out. Yeah, okay. It's all coming back to me.
Yeah, constantly screaming and yelling. She's equally as annoying in The Bride of Frankenstein. She's playing the same character. Thank you, James Whale, for bringing her back. Just for me, I guess. He's doing, even though he didn't know, I didn't exist. My parents didn't, my mother didn't even exist. I wasn't even born. My grandmother wasn't even born yet when this film came out, but he did it specifically for me because I did not like the character she portrayed in The Invisible Man. So he said, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it up twice. Let's bring her back. Same role.
Someone's going to hate it, and who cares?
Someone's going to hate Uni O'Connor playing the same annoying character in two films. She doesn't ruin the movie for me, though. Spoiler alert. And last but not least, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, our boy, Dwight Fry, is back as Carl. And the character of Carl, way sleazier, way creepier. I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah.
Guy looks like a nasty serial killer that do not leave anyone alone with him in a room. He's just all kinds of nasty, and his teeth are all. He looked horrible in the original film, but they gave him a power up in his nastiness in Bride of Frankenstein. There were just scenes I was like, oh, this guy looks like he didn't bathe for the role on purpose.
Oh yeah, it looks terrible for sure.
And he gets killed again. I love James Whale brought him back just so he could be killed by the Frankenstein's monster twice, a second time. Hung in the first, thrown off the castle in the second. Phenomenal.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, they were like, well, I don't know how many people actually like this guy, so we'll just make him the easy kill character.
It's funny, too, because I know in The Invisible Man, we highlighted him popping up in one scene as a news reporter. Like, there's like a guy talking to one of the cops or something in the precinct. I don't even think it was called the precinct at the time, but you know what I mean. Yeah. And we're like, oh, there's Dwight Fry right there. There he is. There's our boy. Oh, yeah. He's back for one scene. So James Whale loved this dude and always squeezed him into most of his projects. And speaking of James Whale, got some behind the scenes info here, Grimy. If you got anything on your end. sprinkle it in while I run down my list of some of my favorite behind-the-scenes elements of The Bride of Frankenstein, or in The Bride of Frankenstein. So one aspect, surprise, surprise, on the subject of James Whale, he was not interested in returning to the world of Frankenstein. He felt he did a good enough job with the original and that it ran its course. He had no interest in coming back. And, you know, keep in mind, he had a hit with The Invisible Man, The Old Dark House. They just really wanted him back for this because he was a very talented director.
Makes sense. Did a good job on it.
I mean, the dude is, and this is the last Universal monster. He won't be popping up again when we continue our Universal monster journey. He doesn't show up again as a director. This was his last sort of relationship with the studio and these characters. My man wanted to move on. He wanted to be a more prestigious director and not direct, I guess in his mind, cheesy horror films. But look at how popular they went on to be 100 years later. So
yeah, I was just going to say it's wild that that's how it went because, dare I say, the most iconic ones he had a part in. Like, that's wild to me.
Yeah, and there's a gentleman we haven't really talked about, the producer of all these movies. We should eventually maybe do a little piece on him in the future because he's kind of responsible for all 50 of these movies existing, and that's producer Carl, I believe it's Laram Jr. I'm going to butcher it too, but that's what I do. Laram Jr. Carl Laram Jr.
We don't actually speak English here on Haunted Hangover podcast, so
or
bear with
Leftover
us.
Pizza.
I was going to say, it was so close.
Both shows, we don't speak English. But yeah, Carl Lem Jr., he pushed for Will to direct the movie, so they kind of used another project as leverage to get him back in the director's chair for Bride. So producers doing producer things, you know. Gotta keep the guy you want, keep him hungry, get him to reel him in with a piece of cheese, which is another film, so you can use that to get him to direct something else. Paycheck isn't enough sometimes. It's the art form. It's the
That's right, yeah.
minutia of directing the film you want and not
absolutely
your need, I guess, and paycheck at the end of the day. After several rewrites due to the rejection, they rejected several scripts, both James Whale and Universal. They settled on returning to the source material, which includes the monster wanting a mate, and kind of different ideas from all of the scripts. Because the first film is really, the original Frankenstein, 1931, is like half, very loose, half of the book.
Right.
So this film is sort of a continuation, and that's played up in the beginning of the movie when we get into the breakdown of what happens in the film. It's very obvious that they were like, all right, this is a continuation. How do we continue that first movie? Kind of like Halloween and Halloween 2. The original Halloween film, how it literally Halloween 2 picks up right after the events of the original Halloween. They did that with Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, and then sort of Frankenstein, different ideas from all the different screenplays they received from different writers. One detail that I love about this film. So we've mentioned Jack Pierce. He's the man responsible for a lot of these creature makeup effects that we've seen. And I don't know if you noticed this, Grimy. So you know that we all know, listeners know, you know, everyone knows that at the end of the original Frankenstein, the monster burns up, air quotes. He survived, obviously, in the windmill. And if you look closely at him in Bride of Frankenstein, his clothes are all tattered and messed up. He has scars and one of his arms are damaged. His hairline, because if you were burned, your hair would sort of get all crispy. If you notice, so in the original Frankenstein, he has these little bangs. Mm-hmm. Those are completely gone.
Yeah. Great continuity here with this. Like, they put some time, some effort, and thought into what these characters should look like after a burning windmill would have went down.
Yeah, and that's something they didn't need to do. So I
No, not at all.
I appreciate that they went back and changed up the look of the monster just to kind of fit basically where we left off with him in the previous film. There's no way he would have got out of that unscathed. That's just not realistic. And I know this is a silly movie, but it's just not realistic that he would just be Superman. Like, just nothing is wrong with him when he got out. You know what's another thing? And I want to know, I'm curious if you picked up on this. So Boris Karloff in the original one, kind of thin, svelte. He was really skinny and frail, and it worked with him looking like a corpse.
Right.
In this one, my man's eating good. He's a little huskier.
It is, man. He went bulking. He was in bulking season. He was like, well, I gotta bulk up. I'm fucking Frankenstein now. So
he had some success. He was eating at Mickey D's every weekend. He was
eating Mickey D's protein shakes. He was squatting like 350 easy.
Yeah. There's no Mickey D's in 1935. I wonder what would have been the equivalent of Mickey D's in 1935. Like, what was the fast food people were eating in 1935, 1934?
Oh man,
I'm so
not
curious.
even sure.
Like, what did you hit up in the corner? Where'd you drive a mile down the road to go get like a midnight snack? Damn.
The Burning Blade, of course.
Yes. How'd you know, Grimy?
Right?
Yes. But yeah, I was watching the documentary that's included on the Blu-ray for this film, and they mentioned that. I just thought, I was like, what a funny thing to add into this little doc. Like, he was getting paid. He was eating well. So the Frankenstein monster was a little chubbier in the sequel. On the subject of Jack Pierce, Elsa Lancaster was not a fan of him.
No?
And she did not like him. She did not like working with him, and she hated the whole costume that he had to put her in, the makeup, the hair, the infamous, now iconic upright hair with the white streak on the side. She did not enjoy his company. Apparently he didn't allow her to use the bathroom when she was in the costume, so it was like a problem for her. Like that whole,
I mean, I could see that being an issue.
Yeah, so there's like the bandage. If you look at her costume, there's bandages, a white dress, the makeup, the hair. So apparently, yeah, just like in The Mummy, which Karloff struggled having to take a leak in that costume, she struggled to pee in her costume. She also wore stilts. So, to make her stand 7 feet tall.
Okay, I was going to say, well, I wonder how tall she is in real life. Because she, in my opinion, didn't look all that tall in the film, I guess. Like, she still looked pretty regular sized, but...
She was 5'4". I have it in my notes.
5'4". Oh, wow. Damn, you fucking came prepared.
So apparently they when they say stilts, I'm guessing she was wearing platform.
I was going to say like a platform, something just to give her a little bit of oomph.
I'm guessing like Frankenstein boots is what you're thinking of. So
yeah, right.
You don't really see her feet when she's in the costume.
Well, if they're anything like the NECA figure, she doesn't have any shoes or anything on. She's basically just like wrapped up like the Mummy is. So that's weird to me. I wonder how that works out.
Well, we never see her feet in the movie, so they had her on these giant stilts. I mean, according to the character, she's supposed to be 7 feet tall, so her legs would be that long. But in reality, she was a wee 5'4".
Okay.
And on the subject of the bride and her look, they used a wire cage in her hair to get it to stand up.
It wasn't just gratuitous amounts of hairspray that they probably also didn't have back then?
No, she didn't do the whole, like, what was his name? Wayne Static. With the, there was no...
the beef jerky hair, yeah.
Yes, beef jerky hair. The snap into a Slim Jim guy.
Right.
They did not do that. They used
two
wire.
Iconic haircuts. Very nice, yeah.
Got the bride, Wayne Static, the Slim Jim guy.
Beef jerky guy, yeah.
Beef jerky Slim Jim guy. Not the Macho Man. The guy that took over after the Macho Man.
Yeah, right.
That guy. Not snapping to, ooh, yeah. Not that guy. The other guy. But yes, they had a cage in her hair to get that that signature look of the
That's
Bride.
wild. Absolutely wild.
Claude Rains and Bela Lugosi were considered for the role of Dr. Pretorius. That one hit me because Claude Rains, we both said he was great as the Invisible Man, and Bela Lugosi, I don't think he would have fit in this film.
I was gonna say, I'm really hoping that's what you're going to say because man, after watching him, was it the Black Cat?
Black Cat,
and
yeah.
Man, I just every role I see him play, I'm just like, this is Dracula though.
It's like a subdued Dracula. There's no hiding his accent and his kind of mannerisms whenever he plays any type of role. But you're getting Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
I think Claude Rains had more range, so that would have worked. Because in The Invisible Man, Claude Rains, we talked about it. He can go from really calm, cool, and collective to loud and eccentric, where it's like Bela Lugosi is calm, but then it sounds like a forced sort of anger and yelling. It's a little overacting. We talked shit about Bela Lugosi. We love Bela Lugosi. We talked a little shit in our last episode of The Black Cat, comparing his and Karloff's performance together. So that would have been a very different film if Lugosi would have gotten the role of Dr. Pretorius, because I think Ernest did a fantastic job. So would have been very wild.
Yeah, he did a good job.
My boy Ernie, who I could not pronounce I couldn't pronounce anyone's last name, as usual. Here's another thing for you, Graham. I got another bit of information here. Maybe you didn't know. Both Karloff and Colin Clive were injured on the set of The Bride of Frankenstein, with Karloff dislocating his hip during the windmill water. You know the scene where he's in the water, kills the two people, the couple, and he hurt himself there. And Clive broke his leg right before production in a horse riding accident. So he was just stumbling his way through this film. That dude had a lot of problems. I can also talk about this here. So they apparently wanted to recast Colin Clive because he was a raging alcoholic.
It's a good reason.
James Whale thought that his performance was vital to the project. And here's the really sad part. He passed away only 2 years after The Bride of Frankenstein was released, at 37 years old.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Due to drinking and stuff?
Yeah, he was a raging alcoholic.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it will absolutely take you.
I mean, and it's sad because the dude was good, like especially in this role of Henry Frankenstein. Like he's just as important as Boris Karloff is in these two films, and it's sad because dude, 37 years old, like it's
young, man.
Crazy. He was living hard, man. In the 30s, he was living a hard life there, pounding down the booze. On the subject of alcohol. Got another tidbit here, Grimy. The cinematographer was also an alcoholic and would constantly be drunk during the production of the film.
Oh my God. So he's just got his camera and he's stumbling around everywhere. And this is a nice shot here.
James Whale, they had a private driver, a car service, pick him up and take him to and from set because James Whale just didn't mind that he was always drunk and enjoyed working with him, that he was efficient. He did his job well, and James Whale appreciated that. He was like, dude, you can drink yourself to death as long as you show up to set and film my goddamn movie. The 30s were a very different
I was
time.
going to say, man, they just don't do workplace shit like they used to anymore. Like, wow, that's so interesting.
I mean, everyone back in the day drank and smoked like a chimney, and like health was just not important, I think. You know, I think the idea of like people worked out to look good without a shirt on. You know what I mean? They didn't work out for their health. Obviously, they're like hitting the weights, but then drinking some scotch right afterwards for the next 4 hours, and then smoking a bunch of cigarettes and cigars. So chewing tobacco and all that. So I just think.
Terrible for the gains.
And then I mean, I might have helped some of these actors. I don't know. Some of them might have got the gun show just due to their intake of bourbon. Yeah, it's crazy just how loose they were with, like, that would not fly today, getting hammered. Like, even on like an indie film set, like some of the, like, we joke around, like whenever I've worked on indie films and short films, feature, whatever it is, we always say no drinking on set until we're done and wrapped. Because if your DP or an actor or an AD is drunk, they're going to forget they're working and they just want to hang out in the other room, talking to the actors in between takes. Mm-hmm. It's just chaos. So the fact that James Whale was able to control his set with an alcoholic cinematographer and an alcoholic Colin Clive, wild stuff. So
free reign, man. And just do what you need to do as long as you're doing it and showing up.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
It's wild.
And my last piece of behind the scenes information, and honestly, these are just things I thought were really interesting of, when it comes to this film and just kind of how it was made. Mm-hmm. So there were several censorship issues, and one of the big ones was showing the monster cradling a Jesus Christ crucifix statue. They had to like cut that out of the movie.
Oh, a little bit of taboo, huh?
Yeah, it's like there's a scene in the film, and I think you know what scene I'm talking about. There's a scene where after the hunters disturb the monster's interaction with the hermit, he runs off into the woods, and then he ends up in a cemetery. Great scene. Looks beautiful.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
If you notice, there is a Jesus Christ crucifix. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing that's the crucifix he cradles, and he just goes up to it and starts to touch it, I guess, and they just didn't like religion and horror, and you've got this monster, and then that's Jesus. Crazy. And
I feel like that would have made for a pretty powerful scene. I actually didn't know that bit of information, so yeah, I think that's. I mean, I'm not much for religion myself personally, obviously, but like. Same. I think that would have made the scene that much more dramatic. That would have been a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, it's considering the film's about creating life and wanting to be a god.
Yeah.
I'm sure James Whale was using that as symbolism just to show like an allegory for creating life and being a god and not knowing your power, etc. And then the creation, which is the monster, not, almost a Jesus Christ-like figure. He's being and several times in the film, they tie him up, they chain him up. The town is pitchforks, and they've got him all in a pile of hay, and it is very Jesus Christ, Passion of the Christ-esque.
Yeah,
when you really think about it,
symbolism in there, I'd say.
So I thought that was interesting that even though there's some censorship and they got rid of the scene or that brief clip, there's still a lot of Jesus Christ stuff in the film. It kind of slipped through the cracks. I love how him cradling the statue was just, you guys are going too far here.
Leave Jesus out of it.
Yeah, leave Jesus Christ out of it. It's just bizarre again.
Yeah, a little bit.
The 30s, heck of a time.
All the necessary preparations are made. My part in the experiment is complete. I have created by my method a perfect human brain, already living but dormant. Everything is now ready for you and me to begin our supreme collaboration.
So the Bride of Frankenstein switches things up slightly by starting the film, as alluded to earlier, with the author of the original source material, Mary Shelley.
Oh, yeah. It's such a fun scene. Really awesome, clever opening. So, like, there's this elegant framing device featuring Elsa Lanchester as Mary Shelley, right? And they're discussing her story. And Byron and Percy, is that Percy Shelley? They're both there kind of talking her through it. And it kind of creates this really nice literary graffitis and connects the film directly to the source material, but like also serving as this really cool, clever like recap, because they go through everything before they actually hit this film. It's really, I I kind of forgot that they did that. I don't know why I thought it like went straight into it, but it doesn't.
It kind of reminds me of like a Friday the 13th movie. Like, you know, when you watch a
Yeah.
Friday, obviously this predates that way in advance, but you know how you watch like Friday the 13th 4 and it recaps what happened in the previous 3 movies?
Yeah.
Kind of this.
Absolutely.
And I even said Halloween 1 and 2 before. Something similar happens where you see like the last 4 minutes of the original Halloween leading into Halloween 2. So it's cool how their concept, or James Whale and the writer, their concept was to, like, you know what, let's break the fourth wall here and show Mary Shelley, you know, telling her friends, etc., the rest of the story, just to kind of piggyback off of the previous film. I do love how pompous the one gentleman is. It's such an
Oh yeah, he's kind of a dick.
He's like, Mary, monsters? What are you talking about? It's just such a, and I'm sure in his mind he was like, I'm crushing this scene right now. But it's watching it in 2025, I'm like, this guy is just
Over the
real
top.
bougie. He's like this bougie dude. But yeah, like Grimey said, we get a recap of what happened at the end of the film, and then we jump to the burning windmill. Everyone assumes and celebrates the monster being destroyed, including my favorite, Minnie, who is
Good old Minnie.
good old Minnie, Henry's servant, who is celebrating extra hard. She's overzealous. She needs to take it easy. I don't know what the fuck she's smoking. She is like an asshole. She's like, fuck that. Not saying fuck that monster, but basically, fuck that monster. He deserves to burn. I was like, where were you at the end of the first movie? Because I don't remember seeing you. So they added this woman in to the into the scene. And again, I guess it's to tie Henry into it, since she's his servant, basically.
Right.
Henry survived, and we said this because he does survive in the original as well, and it's ridiculous how he survived.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean,
like
we
the
said
how.
that when we covered Frankenstein. We're like, dude, you were thrown off the windmill. How? Okay, but
Well, just let it slide, I guess.
we'll let it go because we like Henry. We like Colin Clive. But, of course, the monster survived the fire. He survived the wreckage because, now here's where we tie back into the original film. The father of the little girl with the flowers, you know, throwing into the lake, the infamous scene. They show up, that couple, the mom and dad, they show up and they go down because they need confirmation that the monster's dead. The burning windmill was not enough for them. He wants to go down into the depths and confirm and see the corpse of the monster. What happens? He goes down there, and the monster gives him a pounding. Not in that way.
He got himself got.
Yes,
he should have just.
Yes,
He fucked around and found out. He should have just left it alone.
Yes, he gets drowned. Then he heads up now and grabs the wife and then throws her down, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, she's gone. She's done so.
They're idiots. Like, why? They just needed to make the monster kill two assholes. There is a bigger body count in this film too, so that's another. There's a lot of people dying in this one compared to even the original. But we get like the Frankenstein becomes Jason Voorhees here at the top, another Jason reference, and he kills two, and they're not likable.
Not really. No, it's not like we could really care that they're dead. It was just kind of for effect, I guess. Like, yeah, this guy's angry, pissed off. He just got burned up. He's gonna kill people now. Like, and it works for what it's worth, you know.
And it just so happens to be the parents of the little girl from the first film. So
he was like, I've started with your daughter. I guess I'll end with the parents. Fuck it.
You are all one big happy family in the afterlife now, I guess. Henry is rehabbing with his fiancée Elizabeth by his side, and he still has an obsession a little bit with about creating life. He has a great monologue, Henry Colin Clive here, where he's almost he likes the smell of his own farts in this scene where he's kind of like, I created life. Can you believe it? With a little more time, I could have controlled it, and it would have been, it would have been like anyone, like one of us. It would have been a success. Mm-hmm. And Elizabeth does not approve. She's like, bro, I'm right here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, stop worrying about this dude.
Like, dude, I'm
right here, Yeah. She does not. Still wants to stop hearing about this dude reanimating corpses. She's like, I want you to take care of business here. Later, Henry is visited by a former mentor, Dr. Pretorius. Now, Pretorius explains that he wants to work with Henry and create life again after learning about what his previous situation with the monster, how he was successful in bringing something dead back to life, and successful, like we just joked, very loose word to use because he wasn't successful. Right. He shows Henry a collection of small people in jars. He uses natural materials, is what he tells him. You've got a king, a queen, a ballerina, a mermaid, an archbishop, Satan. Pretorius is struggling to create human life on a larger scale. He can only do it with these little miniature people. And he wants to create a female counterpart, a bride. Ooh.
Yeah. This whole scene just confused me so much. I'm like, why did he shrink these people? Like, is that what happened? Like, or did he make these little people like that? I don't know if I just missed some kind of context there, but yeah, it was really weird seeing these miniature people in these little jars in this scene. I was like, I almost feel like they could have done without that.
I don't want to get into dislikes yet.
Right.
But since we're on the subject of the little people in the jars, it's always been a scene I don't like in this movie. It feels a little out of place.
Totally. Yeah.
I think from what I remember watching and reading, James Whale had the idea. He really wanted to add sort of humor into more humor into the sequel, but it just doesn't work with sort of the creature's arc in like Boris Karloff as the monster, very sympathetic in this film, and you care about him and you want him to be happy, and he's a tortured soul that doesn't belong here, and he was forced to be alive. And then you cut to Pretorius and Henry playing with these little guys, dude. And the king wants to bang the queen, and I always hated this scene. I was never a big fan of it.
Super weird, man. It feels very very Disney. I don't know why. It just feels super goofy and just unnecessary. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. I guess it's there.
The only thing I could think is that maybe in the 30s people thought this was funny.
You thought they were like throwing their popcorn up in the air, like, holy fuck! They're was all
like
small.
Danny McBride level humor was like the little people in the jars. So I don't know.
You might be right.
That's what I'm thinking. But yes, not a fan of this segment of the movie. I didn't want to focus on a negative yet, but since we were here, I'll just blurt it out. Jumping forward, the monster, he's out and about. He's surviving. My dude is misunderstood as always. He's eventually shot and caught by the townspeople where they imprison him. He breaks free shortly after. It's not even like this worked. It's like they capture him, they take him to a dungeon, they chain him up, he breaks free again. So he ends up making his way into the woods, and here, probably one of the most iconic things to come from this film, besides the bride herself, he befriends a blind hermit. Here, the hermit tends to his wounds, he feeds him, the monster gets some entertainment, he's jamming out to some violin tunes. It's just, this is the first time we see the monster happy and smiling.
He is. Yeah, he meets a friend. I mean, he's like you said, he's sharing food with them. they're smoking up together, playing music and stuff. Like, this is a really strong scene, very emotional, heartfelt part of the film. It's very important scene, in my opinion.
The biggest thing with this scene and why it's also important is this is where he learns to speak, the ability to talk.
Yes, exactly.
He can finally say words, the infamous good and friend and all the iconic lines that come from the Frankenstein's monster. So we finally saw him speak. So the party doesn't last long because some hunters ruin it. They show up. They recognize the monster. They're like, bro, he's an undead monster creature. Get away from him. And he's like, no, he's my friend. And the stupid hunters burn down the hermit's home undeserved. Come on. Why would you do that?
It was pretty fucked up. They did him dirty.
Very dirty. The monster once again flees and he stumbles. He flees to we talked about the scene earlier. He like basically makes his way to another cemetery, and here he bumps into Pretorius digging up a female body for his experiment, the one that he wants the life he wants to create with Henry. The monster confronts Pretorius. He befriends him because he basically persuades him with spliffs again and food, and he tells him, "We're trying to create a mate for you." And he's like, friend? Like that's all he wants. He wants someone, he wants a companion.
Right. And
that's where the creature's arc sort of changes now, where he's a little more sinister because, he's thinking he's gonna get some. He's gonna have a mate now. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna be living life with a partner. Henry and Elizabeth finally get married, which has been teased since the first film. Henry's still refusing to help Pretorius with the experiment and creating the mate. He's quite happy with where his life is currently. Here, the monster reveals himself again, finally. Like, not even again, I'd say for the first time, because up until this point, Henry thinks the monster is dead, and reveals that he's working with Pretorius and forces Henry into helping them create life. Create the mate, create the female counterpart to the monster, and they use Elizabeth as collateral. They basically kidnap Elizabeth, damsel in distress. We've ad nauseum discussed this trope in all these movies, but she's basically used like, you'll get her back, we won't hurt her, as long as you show me how to create life.
Right. Bargaining chip.
Yeah, pretty messed up. Now willing, Henry builds a female monster and slowly starts to go back to his kind of chaotic, insane ways because, again, loves the smell of his own farts, and he's been like, I created life again, success, like I'm the shit.
Yeah. He's like a drug addict. He's going through the ritual, and it's all coming back to him. He's like, oh, fuck, this is what I've been missing this for the whole, 24 hours that I haven't been dead. Like, this is going to be good.
And I do love how when they finally create, like when the bride, when they take the wrapping off, they see her eyes are open. Henry says, she's alive. She's alive. Kind of a call back to the it's alive. It's alive from the original. I do like that. That's a cool. I always forget he kind of switches it up since it's a female. It's not as chaotic. He goes nuts in the first one because it's the first time he did it. This one's a little tamer, but it's still cool to hear him say the same line.
Yeah.
This time aimed towards the female monster. So they try to introduce the bride to the monster. He sees her. He's in love. He's doing his little arm thing. Friend. He's got a heart on. Doesn't work out. It doesn't work out for him. She shrieks in fear, rejects him, and cowers in Henry's arms. So Henry's her security blanket, which I love that. I love how since he created her, she sort of runs towards him. Yeah, that's where she's comfortable. This startles the monster. His heart is broken. All he wanted was a mate, a friend. Hey, you feel for the goddamn monster in this scene. Like, fuck you, Bride.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, she just fucking trampled all over his heart. I mean,
it's just so depressing seeing him like all sad and just like miserable at this point because this woman wants nothing to do with him. We've all gotten our hearts broken, so we all know what that feels like. We've all been there, monster. Don't worry. Here, the monster. And I laugh because I think we joked about this in the Black Cat. There's always a lever. There's always
just destroying building lever. Like, hey, you know what? And I love how this is how they check out. They're like, yeah, fuck this. Let's just blow this building up with us in it. There's no other way to go. Like,
my thing with this lever is there's never like a caution sign above it. Like, what if someone like accidentally puts their arm on the lever and lowers it? Like, there should be like maybe a cover over it or like a door. Yeah. You know, like an emergency fire alarm.
Yeah, they don't have any of that. It's just any old Homer Simpson could just go through there and flip the switch and just level the building. How the fuck is he supposed to know?
I love how the monster knows it's there too. He's like, fuck this. Fuck the bride. Fuck Pretorius. Because he tells Pretorius, you're not leaving. He lets Henry leave. He lets Elizabeth leave. Yeah. He's like, nah, bro. Pretorius, you suck. You're staying here. You're dying with me and the hissing bride over there. He knows the lever destroys the building, lowers the lever. Castle, mansion, blown up. Henry and Elizabeth escape the wreckage. They're embracing each other. And they live happily ever after because Pretorius is dead. The monster, question marks. Is finally dead.
Maybe.
Not the last time we're seeing him. And Pretorius, the bride, and the monster all dead. And they get to live normal-ish lives. Happy lives. Happily ever after. And that was the Bride of Frankenstein.
Good. We are friends. You and I. Friends. Good.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I had really one dislike, so that portion is gonna be easy. But to start, we kind of covered it a little bit already. I really love that prologue. I think that was just such a cool device that they used up front. It was a really great way to wrap the films together and to kind of remind us what happened in the first film. Like I said, it just was a really cool way to bring it together. It was a very sophisticated touch, in my opinion. Like, this kind of elevated this movie, the sequel, beyond this typical horror kind of fare for that era. Like, I don't think that there was anything really happening like this prior, so like this was kind of nice.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a nice touch. We talked about how it connects the two and how I compared it to two slasher movies for some reason. It's I kind of wish, not a dislike, kind of wish it ended with them. That would have been nice.
Cool. Yeah, I could see that.
I always, like, when I watched the movie, I'm like, why didn't we cut back to Mary Shelley even for just a minute? Maybe give her like one line where she's like, "Oh, and blah blah blah." You know, he could not create life, or something along those lines. Yeah. And life was not meant to be made, or something. So yeah, it's weird to have it in the beginning, but not at the very end. Not to kind of bookend, especially when it's something new. They didn't do that in the first film, so to do it here, I almost wish at the very end give Mary Shelley one more quick quib at the very end. Their little quip. I don't even know if quib's a word. Quib. Again, no speaking English here on the Haunted Hangover podcast or Leftover Pizza podcast
or LP. Yeah, we don't do that at all.
This is kind of an overall like of the film. It starts with Dr. Pretorius. I think he's an excellent addition, an excellent antagonist in the film, because the monster's not really the bad guy. You know, he's sort of just this torn, tortured figure. Dr. Pretorius, now he's the fucking villain. Like, you just look at the dude with the sharp features, the crazy hair. He too, very sassy. Like, this dude, straight up, like a sassy boy.
Absolutely.
And he's gone on to be a really iconic character. So previously to this episode, I did an episode recently talking about the Dark Universe over at Epic Universe, Universal Studios. They have the Universal Monsters Land. If you didn't check out that episode, go over there, share my thoughts on that whole wonderful, beautiful land over there. There's a store themed after Dr. Pretorius. The whole store is Dr. Pretorius. His coffin is in there, and a portrait of him is right above it with Ernest, with his face, the actual character, the actor, a portrait of him. So that goes to show you that even at the theme park, they dedicated an entire store where you can buy merch to this character. Because I think when you think of Bride of Frankenstein, people always think of the bride, but Dr. Pretorius is just as iconic, in my opinion, and the performance is slick, man. He's really, really snaky in this. He's really sleazy and sort of
slimy, dude.
He's slimy. You just know you can't trust him. And Henry is right for feeling the way he does towards Pretorius. And Colin Clive too. I would say his performance, even though he sort of bookends the movie, he's like, in the beginning, a lot of Colin Clive, and at the very end, a lot of Colin Clive. In the middle's all Monster and Pretorius. They kind of run the show. But I think Colin Clive, it's such a different, like, his demeanor's completely different from the first movie, where he's kind of insane in the cemetery with Hans, digging up corpses, obsessed with bringing something back to life and creating life. And in this, he's very hesitant. He loves his wife. He wants nothing to do. He's always shunning Pretorius and wants nothing to do with him until Elizabeth is taken hostage by the monster and uses collateral. That's where he's like, all right. And then a little bit of it sneaks through where he's like, I'm the shit. I created life again. But it doesn't last long because he's only in, like I said, the beginning and the very end. And last but not least, Boris Karloff's performance. I think this more dynamic for obvious reasons, because the monster can speak. He's kind of doing the whole arm thing, the noises, showing facial emotion. And then when he can talk, he's like a big puppy.
Yeah.
You just feel bad for him. And it's great. Like, obviously, the original one, him all stoic and stiff and turning the dead eyes and all that is great. But in this one, the monster's got more personality. You know, at one point he saves a woman who's out with sheep or something. She falls into the water. He saves her. He kills people that suck. You know, you're rooting for the monster in this movie. Like, you're rooting for him. You want him to make it out of this movie alive. You just want to see him happy. And a lot of that has to do with the Boris Karloff elevating the performance. Like, he knew the monster, how to change it up a bit, but not too much where people are going to be like, this is stupid, you know?
Right.
I think that's kind of the strongest. Those three things. I'd say Pretorius, Karloff, Colin Clive. That's kind of how I'd rank, their performances and how they carry the whole movie and how they change things up from the original, kind of freshen it, make it not feel like a repeat of the original film.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned how Boris Karloff kind of changes it up a little bit, because originally he actually opposed giving the monster dialogue at all. He feared that it was like going to diminish the character's mysterious primal power, I guess. So like, basically, the vibe I'm getting is like Marvel's Hulk, right?
Yeah.
So like when he became Professor Hulk in Endgame, and like that for real just killed that character for me 100%. And for a lot of people, I think a lot of people were pretty upset about that. And I mean, I think his concerns for that character are pretty valid. Like, the speaking monster loses his terrifying qualities, but like at the same time, it makes this character that much more effective. So like the speech allows for greater character development, as you obviously see in the moments that you just kind of explained. It has this emotional complexity. And between all of that and then the hermit scene, I think is really like where we really see this character start to like have a change of heart kind of, and or not maybe a change of heart, but like we see exactly what this character's after. Like, so he wants a friend. And that this scene specific, like the hermit scene, is I think my favorite scene of the whole film. No, it's my second favorite. There's one more, and we'll get to that too. But yeah, like I said before, it's just like the very emotional, heartfelt scene. We see this just troubled hermit. He's blind. He has nobody except himself in his little hut and a little bit of food, and he finally has a friend. The friend comes in, treats him pretty well. They're eating, drinking, smoking, playing music together. And he realizes that this monster is in pain. He's hurt. He can feel all the wounds on his hands and his skin. And he gives him food and he gives him some rest, puts him to bed. Before he puts him to bed, he's holding the monster's hands and he's literally praying to God and thanking him for bestowing him a friend. And, it's a very heartbreaking moment when everything goes the opposite direction. These people come in and they destroy his house because like it's just really fucked up. And it's a really unfortunate way to show that, this is how humanity's rejection of what they don't understand is like, but it's all effective. And I feel like if we didn't have him talking, we wouldn't have got any of that.
I agree. Yeah, it would have been a very different movie if he was just mute the whole time. You wouldn't have cared as much for I mean, you cared about him in the original, but like in this one, it's like a whole other level of caring about this. He's way more sympathetic. I remember us talking about his hands and that whole thing, but him just saying friend is heartbreaking. Like you're like, oh shit, this guy just doesn't want to he feels lonely, So I agree. And you're right, that hermit scene is probably one of the best scenes in the whole movie because it just lays the foundation of, I think, what the character becomes eventually, talking and stuff. If I remember correctly, and I know we have a couple, we have a couple movies in between the next Frankenstein film, I think he becomes mute again when someone else plays him, and then he talks. Yeah, I think there's like a whole thing where he loses the ability to speak. I think, but when we get there, we'll be able to talk about it more. But
right,
yeah, I agree. That's a great scene. That's actually in my list of one of my favorite things about the film is the blind hermit scene. And even when he's teaching him about fire, he's like, "There's good fire and bad fire." Like he's trying to make the character understand more because he's not very smart. In reality, when you think about it, another scene I love and just I think they like kind of stepped it up in this one is the procedure to bring the bride to life.
Oh, dude, yeah. Like I don't know because it's been a little while since we watched the first Frankenstein film. If I was remembering correctly or not, but like it definitely feel like they updated that whole ritual, I guess, or that whole sequence. Like there was certain things that were just a little bit different. I was like, oh, this it feels like an updated version of what they did before. So
it's the kites were something new, and the what's it called, there's two kites. There's way more lightning and thunder in the scene. You've got two helpers because you've got Dwight Fry's character, and then there's another gentleman that plays another like grave digger that helps Pretorius. You've got that whole, there's torches involved. Frankenstein kills Dwight Fry while that's happening just because he pulled out a torch. He's being an asshole. Like, so there's just way more going on in the scene, which makes it more intense. So I do like that kind of just classic Frankenstein bringing the character to life situation. So I love it too. I have it in my list of just like one of my favorite things, just her whole presentation, the bandages, the reveal of the eyes, then they take everything off, the hair, she's tall, just everything leading up to the bride's reveal and her being brought back to life is fantastic. And probably equally, I'd say probably more iconic than even Boris Karloff's monster being brought to life in the first film.
I love dead, hate living.
So my last really big like here is the bride's brief but iconic presence. So Elsa is it Lancaster?
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Okay, well, anyways, yeah, she appears as a bride for just a few minutes, yet somehow she creates this, like, unforgettable character. So, like I said, you only see her for a very short amount of time. She's hissing, she's screaming in what is perceived as rejection for this monster, right? She has the dramatic black hair with the white stripes on the sides that apparently she uses cages to keep it sticking up with, which I think is awesome. Like, they went to that extent to bring this character to life. She has these really quick, jerky movements, like she's pinpointing specific spots to look at, and it packs this incredible amount of personality into the minimal screen time, like, immediately. And it's almost like robotic in a way, in a weird sense, or like almost like a bird kind of, where they kind of just they have these quick, jerky movements with their eyes and their heads. But she also embodies both like beauty and horror, becoming like this very iconic kind of character despite her brief appearance.
Yeah, I remember when I first watched this movie 100 years ago, and saying the same thing to myself. When I had first seen it, I was like, oh, like, you know, growing up, we see her on all the Universal Monsters logos, and we see her, like, I'm looking at my off screen here, I'm looking at my Universal Studios Fright Nights poster with the Universal Monsters, and she's right there. And in reality, she's only in 5 minutes of the film. And
if that, like, crazy.
If that. And she never pops up again, to my knowledge. Like, this character does not show up in any other films with this likeness. Right. It just goes to show you how impactful, you know, it was, the character, the performance, even though she's on screen for a total of 3 minutes. It's kind of wild. Even when, like, you know, we've talked about old Halloween, you know, commercials and costumes and things. The bride always has her own costume, her own, you know, she's got her own merch. It's such an iconic character, and people don't realize she's only in the movie for 2 seconds. Like, it's blink and you'll miss it, almost borderline. So crazy. And that's not even a nitpick to me. I don't mind it. It never bothered me. I just remember being shocked by that when I first saw the movie years ago. Like, wow, she's not. Like, it would have been nice if she popped up maybe halfway, but she's really, like, they're working on her in the last 15 minutes of the movie, 10 minutes of the film, until the reveal. So, yeah, I mean, and I agree, the beauty and kind of the beauty and beast in, like, one situation. But what's cool is, you know, Elsa Lancaster got to play Mary Shelley as well. So it's not like the actress is in the film pretty substantial. She's in the beginning and at the end, and she's speaking. We talked about it before, but, like, at least they gave her more to do. It's not like she's just like, hey, show up to play the bride, and then you know, then you're done. And then I love the line, you know, Pretorius says, "The Bride of Frankenstein." He says it in the film, which is also really cool, where the name comes from. She's the bride. She'll always be the Bride of Frankenstein. She's listed as the mate in the credits, but she's the Bride of Frankenstein.
Absolutely.
All right, Grimy. Some nitpicks. I already talked about one of mine, so let's get into your single nitpick.
So it's definitely that weird scene with the little people. I just don't understand where that fits or what they were thinking. Like you said, maybe back in the 30s, this was just something that everybody hooted and hollered about when it happened, and they were throwing popcorn over their right shoulders or whatever, and they really enjoyed it. I thought it was a little unnecessary. But aside from that, I assumed you're going to talk about Minnie a little bit.
No. I didn't want to do that. I do have her here. I have a couple of little these are nitpicks. These aren't even dislikes because I love the movie. I'll tell you right now, Bride of Frankenstein is awesome. One thing I do, and I kind of I mentioned it in the breakdown, obviously, is the capturing of the monster seems sort of pointless and feels like filler because he escapes the windmill, the wreckage, ends up in the woods, saves the girl, is captured, and then immediately escapes. It's not even like he's 15 minutes of the and this is a short film, an hour and 14 minutes. So it's not even like 15 minutes of this is spent with him locked up. You're following him for a good chunk of the film. He is the main character, the monster.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just like, okay. Like, you guys could have just left him in the woods. He met the hermit and then meets Pretorius. He didn't need the town. I guess that's their way of, their way of explaining that they know he's alive. And I know you mentioned Minnie. I'm going to talk about her in a second too. But yeah, I was going to talk again. I didn't want to talk about her too much either because I'm like, everyone knows her. Everyone heard me bitch about her in the Invisible Man. So I'm like, I still think.
Well, I think that connects in with this here, though. Because she's the one that immediately goes around telling everybody, like, oh, no, he's still alive. He's still out there. He's still well and good. Like, you need to hurry up and do that.
Yeah.
Take care of him. So, like, I see where you're saying maybe him going into this, like, prison kind of thing and then busting out might have been the way that they, kind of communicate that he's around still, not dead.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like Minnie, she already kind of did that. So, like, yeah, again, like to your point, that just seems rather pointless to have that happen.
And she shows up, I think, towards the end to tell Henry or to warn Henry. No, she shows up to tell Elizabeth, like, oh, I don't like leaving you alone. But I'm just like, she's just annoying and kind of not.
Like, just leave him alone.
Yeah,
please.
I guess James Wool really liked this actress and wanted to work with her more. And I'm just like, I just don't like the energy of the character. Again, added comedy. Gotcha. It impacts sort of in this film doesn't need levity. It's supposed to be sort of sad because the monster's going through this kind of personal dilemma with feeling lonely. And then to have Minnie screaming and being stupid is just like the little people in the jars. It just feels sort of out of place in a Frankenstein film. I understood it in The Invisible Man because it was the first time we're seeing this actress and this like a character like that in a Universal monster movie. But to bring her back and inject her into a Frankenstein movie, not for me, guys. Now, Grimy, before we go into our final thoughts here, I was just curious. We never really do this, but since we're covering a sequel, which do you prefer, the original or Bride of Frankenstein?
Ooh, man. See, that's really tough for me because
if you had to choose
love
one.
them both. If I had to choose one, oh man, I would almost say the sequel. Like,
wow,
I
okay.
do love a lot of them. I mean, like, you can't really beat the original because of how iconic it is, and like, obviously, if you didn't have the sequel, or if you didn't have the original, you don't have the sequel. Like, you can't have the sequel without it. So I am going to pick the original. I am.
Okay. All right.
But the sequel really does a lot for me. Like, all the moments that I expressed at the end of our little bit here, our likes and stuff, like everything that happened, just very, very powerful. I think this is such a strong movie. Like, it just, if you're going to watch any Universal Monsters film, let it be this one. Because it's got a lot of great moments, a lot of iconic energy. Like, everything in it is just pretty damn good. And I think you'll like it too, honestly. If you've never watched any of them, make it this.
I'm going to say it, and Bride of Frankenstein never gets brought up in this conversation. A lot of people are like, oh, when the sequel is better than the original. And I'm not saying that I agree with that statement for this franchise, specifically the Frankenstein franchise with the original and the sequel. But people mention Terminator and Terminator 2, Aliens, like how, sometimes the sequel's better or just as good. I would say Bride of Frankenstein is just as good as the original Frankenstein. I too am going to go with the original just because I feel like that's a tighter film. Like, it's just a tighter script.
It is.
It's a tighter film. A, B, C, beginning, middle, and end. This kind of does go to different places. It has a larger cast. It's got more characters. So, I wouldn't remove anything from the original Frankenstein. In this one, I'd remove the little people. I'd remove Minnie. And I'd try to do more with Elizabeth instead of just rehashing what we did with her in the first movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, being kidnapped again, So I'm going with part one. There's no denying the original Frankenstein is king when it comes to, I think, any Frankenstein film. Guillermo del Toro has one coming out this year. I still don't think it'll match up with the original Universal Monsters James Whale film.
Right. While I am excited about it, I have to agree with you.
I don't think so. My final thought is just, I agree with you, Grimy. I think if there's one Universal, if you hate old movies, black and white, ew, gross, don't want to watch that shit,
Right, yeah.
This is the one exception I think you should watch, just because of how, if you're a horror fan, and people love their 80s slashers and 80s horror and 70s horror, I feel like this is something you just need to at least watch one time.
Yeah,
fine.
For the experience.
Yeah, you don't want to watch The Invisible Man. Cool. You don't want to watch a deep cut one like The Black Cat or Murders in the Rue Morgue. I get it. But watch Bride of Frankenstein. It's a must. If you're a horror fan, you can't call yourself a horror fan if you've never watched Bride of Frankenstein.
That's right. Horror fan card revoked.
Oh, yes. We're kicking you out of the club, guys, if you don't watch Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah, it's a must watch. I think it goes perfect. Watch part 1 and part 2. And if you hate part 1, still watch part 2.
You stay. We belong dead.
So that was The Bride of Frankenstein. Next up, we're getting hairy, Grimy, with Werewolf of London. Not even the Wolfman. We're going a different direction.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes. Werewolf of London. Wolfman, still quite far away.
Is it far away? Yeah, I'm excited for this one. This is one I haven't seen yet, so diving into some more uncharted territory. This is going to be fun, I think.
For sure. Grimy, where can people find you and Leftover Pizza?
Well, sir, if you'd like to check us out on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook, we have all that. We also have a group on Facebook, the Leftover Pizza Club, where you can hang with like-minded peeps and join some interesting nostalgic discussions. And if that's not enough, check out our website, leftoverpizzaclub.com. And lastly, listen to us wherever you catch your podcasts.
And be sure to subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Blue Sky, Facebook, at Haunted Hangover. Head over to hauntedhangover.com where you can find links to everything, including our Patreon page, where, funny enough, Grimy and I are doing a bonus show talking about some of our favorite Frankenstein things. So head over there and check it out. Rate and review us. It'd be greatly appreciated. And as always, remember, the best cure for a hangover is
more booze.
Catch you guys later.